Hey, what's up, everybody? I know that last week we said we were going to start talking about, what it is that happens when you drop your keys off on the counter. And I think we're going to do that. I think we might get into a little bit of fabrication stuff too, because I've been getting a lot of requests about, how do you start your fabricating and all that other stuff. But before I get into any of that, I wanted to say thanks for watching, for all you guys that have actually watched. For everybody that subscribed, cool, awesome, thank you so much. Please, 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 if you're watching my videos and you think they're interesting in somewhat of a way, please just click subscribe. Click like the video, click subscribe. We're trying to get a little bit of exposure here, and we have a lot of information to give, and I'd like to be one of the ones that helps you guys out when you're taking your cars places, so that you're not getting screwed over by a lot of people. But anyhow, you know what? I'm going to go over what exactly happens when you drop your keys off on the counter of an auto repair shop. Now, this could be any auto repair shop. It could be a dealership. It could be a private place. It could be one of the high-end specialist places that only deal with certain makes and models of cars. It's pretty much the same for every form of auto repair facility. The only thing that you're going to have different is you're going to have in a smaller shop like mine, you're going to get the added advantage of being able to speak to the owner most of the time because I'm here all the time and I'm the one that does the work. Whereas at a dealership, you're going to have to be dealing with a lot of different people during the course of your vehicle's stay with that dealership. So we'll get into that a little bit. But let me just start with basically what happens when you walk into a place. You walk into a place and you have either a service advisor or a receptionist or someone in front of you. And you say to that person, hey, my car's broken. And they ask you, okay, what is wrong with your car? And you tell them basically what's wrong with your car. You give them a brief description. They write everything down. You hand them your keys, and then you walk out the door and you say, I don't know what's happening with my car. I don't know how much it's going to cost me. I don't know what's going on. Well, if you look around in 99% of the shops, and we have ours, you just can't see it, there are requirements per state. I know in the state of Connecticut, you have to post with Invisible Sight of your customers what your hourly labor rate is, what your fee for diagnostics are, what your fees for storage are, and what you have as a right as a customer, what your rights are as a customer, I should say. You have quite a few rights, and you have a right to have all the information that you need when you drop your car off. Now, I hear a lot of people say all the time, I brought my car here, and then they hit me with a $150 diagnostic fee and didn't fix anything. They didn't do anything. All they did was diagnose it. Well, I want to let you guys know that diagnostics are a very interesting part of auto mechanics, especially nowadays. Diagnosing a car has gone from literally listening to it with a stethoscope or looking at it and putting your ear out to it and saying, hey, what's that sound? Okay, I know what that is, to now needing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of diagnostic equipment. So the first step in figuring out what is wrong with your car is diagnosing it. Now, obviously, if it's a flat tire or if it's something like that, the diagnostic fee shouldn't apply because that's just stupid. You can see a flat tire. But when it comes to, hey, my check engine light came on, the car's been running funny, it bucks and farts and pukes when I stop, it stalls at lights, it doesn't get moving, it's got a hesitation. All this stuff has to be diagnosed, and it's got to be diagnosed at a very minimum with a scan tool. Now, that scan tool, depending on how large it is and how in-depth it goes into each and every vehicle, you're talking anywhere from $500 to $10,000 for these scan units. Now, the reason that there is a diagnostic fee, well, actually, there's a couple of reasons why there's a diagnostic fee. Number one is that you're paying for the time of the technician or the mechanic who's going to be diagnosing your car. That's not free. A lot of people seem to think that that is free, and it is not by any means, because you do have to pay someone to diagnose the car, not just fix it. They can't just fix it if they don't diagnose it and figure out what's wrong with it first. So that's number one. Number two is there is a certain amount of inherent cost with these scan tools. Not only do you have to pay out of pocket to purchase them, but you also, as a shop, need to buy a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription to receive all the updates so that you can cover all these new cars. Now, we're talking anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per year just to keep your scan tool updated. Now, that's what you're paying for with the diagnostic fee. In my experience, what I've seen in the past is customers would come in and say, hey, can you diagnose my car? And when I was first starting out, I wanted the business, so I said, yes, I'll diagnose your car, tell you what's wrong with it. Well, I would tell them what's wrong with it, work up a quote. They would tell me, oh my God, that's too much money. I don't have that right now. And I would find out through the grapevine that they took my diagnosis and went to another shop or a friend or a brother or a backyard mechanic and had the car fixed. So that is why we now charge diagnostic fees. Now, the difference between some of these, and I know here in Connecticut, we average about $100 to $150 for diagnostic fee. It's basically 1 hour of labor to diagnose. Most places have a diagnostic fee, and most of the car dealerships out there will actually charge you the diag fee on top of whatever the repair cost is. What we do here at Morpheus is a little bit different, and I know I've seen a few other shops that do it too, a few smaller shops, but basically you come in and we charge you an hour of labor to diagnose the car. If you choose to repair the car and you choose to use us to repair the car, then we take the fee for diagnosis back off of your bill. Not a lot of places do that. We do it here because we like to see our customers come back. And if they're nice enough to give us and trust us with their vehicles and give us the business, then we'll be nice enough to kind of, we'll work with you. So we'll take the $100 fee off of the bill and we'll repair the car. So that's basically why you're paying for diagnostic fees and how we do it here versus how everybody else does it. I used to never believe in diagnostic fees until that happened to me so many times where I was like, okay, I'm diagnosing people's cars for free and they're taking them somewhere else to get them fixed. No, we can't do it anymore. We have to charge a fee. So that's the deal with the fees. Now, after the diagnosis has been completed, then you're going to get into speaking with your mechanic again, especially at a smaller shop. You'll probably speak like with myself. I'll call you directly and say, hey, listen, this is what we found with your car. What do you think we should do? At the dealerships, it runs a little bit different because you've got your service advisor whom you spoke with and dropped your keys off to. Then you have a mechanic who's actually going to be working on the vehicle. Now, the mechanic reports to the service advisor. The service advisor reports to his manager. His manager reports to the owner of the dealership. And at some point in time, everybody's involved in the repair of that car. So a lot of times you're getting things third and fourth hand, which can get kind of confusing. And now most of the time, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because now you have more people responsible for your car. But at the same point in time, getting the information directly from the mechanic or directly from the person who's working on your car can do worlds of difference when it comes to understanding, customers understanding. I speak to 99% of my customers, and I handle all of the diagnostics. I handle all of the repairs. I handle all of the speaking to the customers about their repairs. At a dealership, you don't get that luxury. You don't get to actually physically tell the technician what it is that you were finding. You're relying on your service advisor to properly inform your technician and instruct your technician as to what it is that's going on with the car. Now, at most dealerships, if you bring your car back for regular maintenance, you're not getting the same technician every time. You're getting a different technician because most places have anywhere from 3 to 10 technicians working on vehicles. So if you go in for an oil change, it might be one technician. If you go in for a brake job, it'll be another technician. At dealerships, the technicians are allowed to do certain forms of work based on how many certifications they have and things like that. So for instance, someone who's just starting new as a mechanic at a dealership, they'll call them a lube tech, and they'll basically do oil changes and fluid flushes and wiper changes and stuff like that. And then your next level up technicians will start doing brake jobs and things of that nature. And then once you hit a master technician, then you start doing engine jobs and transmission jobs and heavy duty diagnosis and working on some of the higher end cars. And like I know, for instance, Nissan with their GTRs, they have a specialty class that you have to go to as a Nissan technician to even touch one of those cars, to even be able to drive one of them. So they do have some pretty cool programs in place when it comes to who's going to be touching your car. However, it's still the same process. You go in, you see receptionist. Receptionist tells service advisor. You speak to service advisor. Service advisor speaks to technician. Technician fixes vehicle, speaks back, and it goes back in that direction all the way till it gets back to you. So I've noticed a lot of frustration with people saying, oh, so-and-so called me on Monday, but then this guy called me on Tuesday, and then I have no idea what's going on with my car. Nobody told me exactly what's going on with it. They just said the part's not here. They said this, they said that. So there's a lot of confusion that goes on in there, and that was one of the things that we wanted to avoid here. At smaller shops like mine and several others in the general area where I'm from, anyhow, they're very customer-oriented. If the customer wants to speak to the mechanic, all they have to do is say, hey, can I speak to the technician? And we allow that. And most of the time it is us. It's the owners. It's the people who are owner-operators that are doing the work that can speak to the customer. Even in the dealerships, a lot of the better dealerships, if you ask them, hey, can I speak directly to the technician that's working on my car or the technician that worked on my car? You'd be surprised at how many of them will actually go and grab the technician and allow you to speak directly to them. Now that, I think, is awesome. That is something that you should be doing as a customer and as an automobile owner. When you have your car serviced and you have questions about the service on that car, speak with the man or the woman who worked on your car. That's the best mouth to hear it from. Your service advisors are only going to have what the mechanic wrote down. You're not going to have the true feeling that that mechanic got. The mechanic may say, hey, yeah, I fixed your vibration, but I noticed that there's another smaller little vibration, and you can say, oh, yeah, that's been there for years. Don't worry about it. Whereas a service advisor might not have that information. So my advice to you guys, when the car is being fixed or is during that process where it is about to be fixed, if you want answers, ask them to speak to the technician who's working on the vehicle. 9 times out of 10, they'll allow you to do that, and then you'll have the information you need, and there'll be no question. Another thing you can do is, after the car has been repaired, ask to speak to the technician. Either way, most places will allow you to speak to the technician, so do it for peace of mind so that you know what went on. And also, too, there are some shops that I'm sure you've seen on YouTube and you've seen on the news and everything else, these scam shops that do all these scams and everything else. Well, you know what? Talking to the mechanic directly who's working on your car is going to alleviate 99% of those scams, because the mechanic and the service advisor, when it comes to a scam, they're not communicating very well. The mechanic will do one thing, the service advisor will bill for another, and neither one of them know what the other one did. So you don't have a leg to stand on with that. But if you talk directly to the mechanic, you'll know exactly what happened with your car, what went on with your car. So that's one of the words of advice that I can give you. Now, from my standpoint, from a business standpoint, after we've diagnosed the car, we then call the customer. I call my customers and say, hey, listen, I found out that your brakes are bad. Your rotors need to be replaced. They're damaged. You ran the pads right down to the metal. Here are your options. I always give my customers an option. Now, most of those options, if they're involving any safety-related items, there's really not too many options. You have to fix it, but I can at least give you some price options. Hey, this is a little bit more expensive than this part, but this one might last a little bit longer, or, you know what, this one's way expensive for no particular reason, so buy the cheaper one because it does exactly the same thing. Now, like I said, most of the small shops in my area are very much like that. We're about our customers. We want to make sure you get the best deal, that you get the best parts, and that your car is safe to drive, because ultimately that's what we're headed for. Now, when your car is in the process of being repaired and you've already agreed upon a price and estimate, which another thing is that you should definitely get before any work is performed, get an estimate. I can't stress that enough. Get an estimate. There's so many people out there that bring their car to a dealership, they don't get an estimate on the cost, and the next thing you know, they're oh my God, it's $2,000. How am I going to deal with this? Where if you get an estimate and it's $2,000, you can look at it and say, okay, well, I don't want this done and don't want that done. This might not be important, that might not be important. Just fix what's broken and give me the car back. So yes, get an estimate. So, all right, everything's good. We're good to go. Estimate's been agreed on. Car comes in the bay. We do the repair work, button up the car, take it for a test drive. So yes, if you're looking at your odometers, the odometer may have some extra mileage on it. especially if you bring the car in for an intermittent problem. Now, I've had customers come to me and say, listen, I dropped the car off and it had 10,000 miles on it. Now it has 10,020 miles on it. Where did you go with my car? Were you driving my car? Were you having fun with my car? What were you doing for 20 miles with my car? And truth be told, your car comes in and you say, I have an intermittent vibration. It's only on the highway and it's only after I drive about 20 miles. Well, guess what? I'm going to take your car on the highway. I'm going to drive it for 20 miles and see if I can find the vibration. So that's where the extra mileage is coming from. Now, yes, we are insured for that. So there's no need to worry. My insurance policy and most of the required coverages for insurances on automotive repair shops require that you carry an insurance that allows you to be insured should you damage a customer's car while you're on the road test driving it. If I, for instance, take your car out and I'm test driving it and I get in an accident with it, my insurance will cover your vehicle. You would not have to do anything at that point because my insurance would cover the damage that was done to your vehicle. And in most cases, will cover the repairs and it will cover rental cars and it will cover everything else so that you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, we do drive the cars. We have to. Sometimes we don't have a choice. We have to figure out what the problem is. It's all part of the diagnosis. So yes, that'll happen. Now, car's repaired, everything's done, a little bit of extra mileage on it. You come to pick up your car. You get the bill. Now, if everything has gone as planned and the shop you're dealing with is a good shop, there should be zero surprises. None. Not a single one. Because if your estimate was $500 and you came in and you got a $2,000 bill, something's not right. Someone should have contacted you mid-repair and said, listen, I found XYZ. It's going to be this much more money. It's going to be this much more time. And you're not going to get your car back for a couple of days. There is no reason why you should ever be surprised by an automotive repair bill. My customers and what I do here, anytime that bill is going to go even $1 above the amount that was quoted, they get a phone call. Hey, listen, we found something extra. It's going to be another $1. I'm just letting you know. And if it's $400 or $500 extra, I'm letting them know as well. Listen, I took this apart and I found this. We need to fix this. It's a safety related item, but it's going to cost you another $500. And that obviously gives you as the customer a way to say, hey, all right, yeah, I can do that. Or no, I can't swing that right now. I'm going to have to pick up my car. Or go ahead and do it, but try to save me a little bit of money. It gives you the option to do whatever you need to do. Now, if you receive a surprise bill like that, there's really not a whole lot you can do, unfortunately. You basically, by dropping your car off and handing us the keys, you have authorized us to do the repairs on your car. Now, if you have an estimate, you have a little bit more of a leg to stand on in saying that, listen, you gave me this estimate, you never called me with an update on the price, and now you want me to pay 3 times the amount that's in the estimate. I'm not paying it. The problem with this is that the shop is authorized to hold on to your vehicle until full payment is remitted. That's a huge problem for customers, especially if you run into a shady shop. There are no laws that state that your car has to be returned to you before you make full payment of the balance. So one of the things I can say is always check your estimates. If you're not getting updates on your car and the mechanic has had your car for a day or two, call them. Listen, is everything going okay? Is my car okay? Have you ran into any other problems? Is it going to cost me any more money? These are questions you need to be asking. Don't be afraid to ask them. Just ask them, because then you won't get surprised at the end. You won't have that, oh my God, my bill's $3,000. How am I going to afford that? I can't do that. I just bought a house. I just did this. I just did that. No surprises. Know that you have a right to know everything that's going on with your car when it's at the mechanic shop. I can't stress that enough. Don't be surprised. Make sure you have the info you need. Make sure you're keeping in touch with the shop. And make sure that you're paying what was on that estimate and that you got an estimate in the first place. Now, you know what? If you're somewhat car savvy and you know what's wrong with your car, and you know you're bringing it in for an oil change, and you know that's all you need, then there should be no surprises, and you really don't need an estimate for an oil change. But be damn sure there are shops out there where you go in for an oil change, and they'll come back with $3,000 worth of work that you need because it's a safety issue. Those are another thing you should question. If you get a shop that's constantly making suggestions as to what should be fixed because it's a safety issue, take the car to another location, get a second opinion. You do the same thing with doctors. If a doctor tells you you got this and you don't want to believe them, you go get a second opinion. You can do the same thing with mechanics. It doesn't hurt to get a second opinion, especially if you feel like what's been given to you doesn't make any sense. So please, just keep yourself informed. Keep in touch with the mechanics. Keep in touch with the shop that the car's at. And just overall, make sure that there's a communication between you and the mechanic or the shop or the dealership or anything for that matter where your car might be. That's a very expensive piece of equipment that you just dropped off with someone else, and you should be concerned. Not that your car's going to be damaged, but you know what? You should be concerned at what progress is being made and what's actually being repaired. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people be surprised. So yes, I'm going to get off of that now because I've been on it forever, but don't be surprised. So I'm going to give you that's kind of a little bit of what happens when, you drop your keys off, at least here anyway, in some of the other dealerships. I'm going to give you all as customers now a little bit of advice of what not to do when you walk into a shop, because I get this all the time here. And it's not with my loyal customers, it's not with my regulars, it's usually with people who walk off the street. If you walk in and you say, I want to do XYZ to my car, or XYZ is broken on my car, how much is it going to cost? Well, I don't know. Because one, you don't have the car here. I can't physically even see it. I can't walk outside and touch it. I don't know what's involved or what you broke or what condition the car is in or anything about it. There's no way that I can actually give you a price on anything. Because if I give you a $50 estimate and the bill comes out to $300 and I call you and say, hey, before I do this work, it's going to be $300, you're going to say, oh my God, no, you told me $50 when I walked in last time. So no, we cannot diagnose your car. One, if it's not here. And two, if you come in and go, my car's going, what do you think is wrong? I don't know. I have no idea. I cannot give you a price for that. Also, too, another thing not to do, and this will anger most shop owners, especially someone like us who do a lot of performance work. You come in, you ask to see the owner. Myself, I come out and I say, hey, what can I help you with? And you say, oh, I have this amazing build in mind for my car, and I want to talk to you about it to see if, what I was thinking is going to work. So I have this Honda Civic, and I want to make it a 9-second drag car. And I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want the best of that, and the best of this, and I want it to make 500 horsepower, and I want that car to be reliable all day long. What do you think it's going to cost me? Well, we know from the past that a full build like that can range, to $30,000, $40,000 if you want to get really crazy with it. Well, what happens is we spend the time and we price things out, and we spend the time talking with the customer for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be. And then they look at you and they go, oh my God, I don't have that kind of money. I never planned on having that kind of money. And I don't want to put that kind of money in my car. So thanks for your time. I'll see you later. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. That is the worst thing ever. That is basically like going into Walmart, filling up your entire cart, and then filling up another cart, and then going to the checkout and looking at them and going, okay, ring all this up for me. They ring it all up for you, and you look at them and go, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. I don't think I want any of it. Have a good night. And you walk out the door. That is the most frustrating thing in the world, especially for people like myself who own and operate a fairly busy, high-volume shop. Our time is precious just like your time is precious. Don't ever think that our time isn't valuable, just like I don't think that your time isn't valuable. That hour that I spent with you could have been spent on a customer who really needed me to do something for them, who really needed me to repair their car, who really needed me to give them a quote so that they can get their brakes done, so they can go on vacation or go to the hospital to see an injured relative or whatever it may be. You took that hour away, and you weren't even planning on spending any money. So it's kind of a little bit of a rant, but don't do that. Our time is as important as your time is. You wouldn't want us to spend 3 days diagnosing your car and then tell you to come and get it because we didn't feel like fixing it. So don't do the same to us. That's one of the things not to do. Also, another thing that I see a lot of people is a lot of people don't even know what they're driving. You come in and you drop your car off, and yeah, sure, I can walk outside and I can tell you exactly what your car is. But when you come in and you're asking me for a quote and you don't have the car with you, and I ask you, okay, what is the car? And they're like, oh, well, it's a Honda. Well, what kind of Honda? Oh, I think it might be a Civic or an Accord or, it's blue. And no. Blue doesn't help. I need a year, a make, and a model. So it's a 1997 Honda Civic DX. It says it right on the back of the car. This way, I can give you an accurate quote, if it's something I can even quote without the car being here. So know what you're driving. Don't walk in and go, I don't know, I think it's a 2010. It might be a 2014. I'm not sure. Don't do that. Make sure you know what you're driving. It'll help you, and it'll help the mechanic. There's so many things that I could just go on all day long about this, but do yourself a favor. Respect the mechanic's time. They'll respect yours. Know what you're doing. Have all the pertinent information about that shop. Have all the pertinent information about your car. If you're unsure of what the car is, bring the registration in with you. You bring in the registration, we can get all the information we need right off of the reg. So that's an easy way to do it. If you don't feel like knowing what you're driving, bring the reg in. And then again, keep yourself informed on what's going on with your car. Make sure that you're calling the shops. Make sure that you're talking with the mechanic. Make sure that you're doing all of that stuff. It's super, super important. It's super important for everybody. If all of that is there, you will have the easiest experience ever with a mechanic. You won't have any questions. You won't have any doubt in your mind that exactly what you wanted done is done. So just do it. Just inform yourself, inform the mechanic, communicate as much as possible, and you'll never have an issue. So, yeah. So, you know what? That's pretty much it when it comes to what happens when you drop your keys. I hope I kind of touched on some of the subjects. Information, communication. Can't say those enough. That is the most important thing when it comes to doing this stuff, is communicating. If you don't communicate, everything's going to get all fucked up, and you're going to be mad, and you're going to want to find another mechanic. So just don't do it. All right. So now, I've had a bunch of people asking me about fabrication stuff. I don't know where to start with fabrication. I know I wanted to do something similar to an introduction to fabrication and the introduction of the way that I do fabrication, but each and every fabricator has their own unique way of fabricating. It's kind of an art form. It's kind of a talent. Sometimes you just don't know how you're doing it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I fabricate a lot of stuff, but I don't use templates. I don't make templates very often. I literally just bring the car in, take a look at the car, and I can imagine what it is that I need to fabricate to perform a certain task. Like, for instance, mounting a fiberglass bumper on a car, I know that I can follow the fender line, which will lead into the bumper line, which will lead into the front bumper lower lip, which will lead into the upper section. It's just, once I can visualize that and I can start actually making it out of metal, I usually build piece by piece. So as far as templating something and then making a million of them or jigging it up and making a million of them, I don't do that. I usually do everything on a per order basis. So when it comes down to custom fabrication, it is truly custom fabrication. No two vehicles are the same, even if they're the same vehicle. Things are fabricated differently. Maybe I learned something on the first one that I do differently on the second one. So doing an intro to fabrication is, I don't know. I don't know where I could go with that. It's definitely something that's interesting, and you know, there are different types of fabrication. There's body fabrication, there's metal fabrication, there's, you know, fabrication for doing engine swaps, there's fab for fitting body parts, there's fab for roll cages, there's fab for exhaust systems and headers and intake manifolds and all that other and we do it all here. So I don't know, you know, you guys might have to actually tell me what section of that you want to see. I know we do a lot of exhaust systems and we do a lot of headers and we do a lot of intake manifolds and turbo stuff. So I don't know if you want to see that, or, you know, do you want to see maybe some stuff with full-blown fab on cars? And I don't know. You're going to have to tell me. That's why it's important. Subscribe, comment. Tell me what you want to see. My version of fabrication is very much different from the next guy's version of fabrication, and mine is no better than anybody else's, but it is super, super different. So, I mean, excuse me. If you want to see me do exhaust systems, if you want to see how I lay out an exhaust system, do you want to see how I lay out a set of headers? Because I can do that. I have a bunch of video and pictures, I think, from a set of headers I built recently. I've also got some intake manifold stuff that I did recently. I've got some actual full car fab, bumper mounting, fender mounting, wide body stuff that we did on a Civic recently. So I don't know. You tell me what you want to see when it comes to fabrication. That'll be our next video. And maybe, I don't know. I don't know where to start. I thought about it. It's actually why this video is late. It's on Monday instead of Saturday or Sunday, like I said. But I can't off the top of my head think of a way to start this without information from you guys. So please, down below, comment, tell me what you want to see, and I'll put something together specifically for you guys. It won't even have to be something I did in the past. I'll put something together specifically for you. So is it exhaust systems? What is it? Let me know. All right, cool. I really think that's all for this week. I can't think of anything else. I want to do the fabrication thing. Oh, auto electrics. That's another thing we specialize here too. Nobody does that stuff anymore. We do it here. So if you want to see some auto electric stuff, maybe we'll do that in another video. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So yeah, please let me know. I'm lost without you guys. I can't keep doing this because it's just going to be super, super random and kind of ridiculous. So gotta let me know what you want to see. I can also do tool reviews and shit like that too if you want me to. Welding review, I mean, you name it, I'll do it. Let me know. I'm leaving this channel up to you guys. You'll get to see a little bit about me, but you also get to see a bunch of other shit that we do too. So again, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but comment below. Tell me down there what you want to see here on this channel, and I'll make sure that I accommodate you. All right, everybody, have a good afternoon. I will see you next week, and have a good one. I'll see you later.